Hi everyone, it's Astra's Corner, and today I'm going to be answering two things. One, what kind of content is going to be uploaded on this channel after the Appalachian Trail? And two, what is my personal life and what are plans for my person after the Appalachian Trail? So I'm going to be answering this in two parts, and I'm going to be listing timestamps as well. So for number one, what kind of hiking content is going to be uploaded after the Appalachian Trail? The answer is to that, I don't know. I don't know where I will be in 3 years, 5 years. I don't know where I'll, in life. I don't know where I'll go. I don't know if I'll have enough money, time to do, awesome trails. As of right now, after the Appalachian Trail, I don't plan on doing much hiking content. I don't plan on uploading much because I live in a rural area in a college town. It's rural around it. There's nothing around it. I live in a rural town, and I only have a couple lakes where I can hike, and there's no other trails. There are no other trails. There are no mountains to hike. There are no ranges to hike. There are no valleys to hike through. It's just a couple lakes with circular loops. And so that's Oklahoma for you, for the most part, right? Is that there's a lack of that. And so to answer the question, as far as hiking content on this channel, the Appalachian Trail is the main part of this channel. And afterwards, I don't know what I will be doing or what my plans are as far as that. I will try to remain somewhat active on this channel, giving personal updates about my life and my health. And so that is the first question that is answered, is that as far as hiking content, I don't know. As far as other content, I will try to upload. So number two is what's going to happen with my personal life, my person itself. And to this, it's going to be much more of a complex answer. So while I'm on the trail is supposed to be a transformative experience. It's supposed to give you answers to your life that maybe you haven't thought about. Solutions to your life's problems that maybe you haven't thought about while you weren't on the trail, right? So you have lots of time to think about. You have lots of time to think about options on the trail and solutions to problems, right? And so that's part of the reason why I'm doing this trail, aside from trying to inspire people with dysautonomia, POTS, which I got diagnosed with a couple days ago. This is some paperwork, an exercise treatment plan, which I don't need because I'm already very high functioning. But yes, that is, aside from the main goal of trying to inspire people with POTS, it is to try to rewire my life, to kind of adopt a philosophy that will help guide me through the darkest hours of my life and get me to a much better position. So I'm going to, and then after the trail, I'm going to try to seek more professional help, therapies, med combos, some treatment options. I'm probably going to try to finish college, find an inspiring job, maybe fall in love with somebody. And so there's a lot of questions up in the air about what will actually happen with my personal life afterwards. But those are the main things I'm going to be seeking. That sounds ordinary, right? Sounds like anybody's answer. But there are actually two options that I plan on utilizing after the trail. Option 1 and option 2. And option 1 is not top priority, by the way. So option 1 is that I go on the trail, and after the trail, I don't really have any clarity on where my life is going to go. I try to seek therapies, I try to seek meds, and they fail. And they don't help me. They don't help my situation. I try talking to therapists and my RSS about my problems, and it doesn't go well. It doesn't fix any of my extreme suffering that I'm going through right now. And I try everything, right? And that, or not everything, but a decent amount of things. I don't want to have to try everything, because if they're electrocuting my brain, if they're giving me meds to where I'm completely fucking zombified and I'm drooling, I'd rather be dead. And so option one is that there is a failure for treatment, and I will commit, I want to say, a deep self-care act of euthanasia, euthanizing myself. And I wouldn't call it selfish, because I've been fighting for 6 to 7 years plus with the most oppressive conditions imaginable. And I've been doing so to try to stay alive for my family. That's a big part of it. Doing so I can stay alive for my friends, because I know that they would be traumatized and they would be very, very sad to see me go, especially so early, because I'm 21, right? But you have to give me credit for that I tried the treatment options. I tried to get help. I have the strength to go out to the house, and, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon when I'm really, really tired, and I try to seek help, and I do it for my family, and I do it for my friends. But I am not here to infinitely suffer. I didn't sign up for that. I wasn't given a contract. I wasn't given like a contract where, you will survive for X number of years with all of these conditions and all of this suffering. I didn't sign a contract like that. And so I don't have an inherent responsibility to stay here. The only responsibilities I have are the promises that I make to other people, and that's it. That's all I have. The things that I want to do while I'm here, and that I can only do while I'm here, right? So, like, if I'm 6 feet under, I can't do the Appalachian Trail, right? That, and doing what I say I would do for other people, right? Or making promises to other people. But aside from that, I have no inherent responsibility to be here, right? And it would be wrong to call me selfish if I have to utilize option one, because I tried every treatment option, and I suffered in the most gruesome, intense ways imaginable, and I'm slowly mentally declining to the point where, if this continues, I think I will lose my spirit, and I will lose my identity. And my friends and family don't want to see that happen. It will break their hearts, and I don't want to see that happen to me either. So that's why option one is on the table. Option two is that, I tried the treatment options. I go on the trail. Maybe I find a life purpose. Maybe I fall in love. Maybe I, get a job that I really like, and it eases some of the suffering, and I can live on my own. And my life will be fixed. And my suffering level right now will go from here to here. If it's a moderate improvement, it's worth staying here. This is obviously the option that I prefer. I don't want to go through with option one whatsoever. Keep in mind that option two is the main priority. I do not want to do option one. I'm trying my best to utilize option two to try to minimize the amount of suffering that I'm going through by seeking professional help, seeking all of the options that I possibly can. But again, I'm not here to infinitely suffer, and I will not infinitely suffer just for the sake of staying here. I think it is unreasonable to have that expectation. Remember, I'm drowning, and I don't know where the lifeline is, right? That's the only difference between actual drowning and this. I have no idea where the lifeline is. It could be, half a mile away, or it could be right in front of me. But my arms are getting tired, and at some point, I'm going to let go, and I'm going to drown, and I'm going to breathe the water in. And I shouldn't be blamed for that after trying everything that I could to stay here for my friends and family for 6 to 7 years. So I would not call this a selfish act, right? I have done the most selfless thing for years for other people. And the fact that I'm even considering option one is actually selfless in itself. And here's why. There's a couple reasons why, right? One that I've already listed is that I think it would be far more hurtful and traumatizing and terrifying to see me go on a downhill slope with my sanity and my coherence, my spirit, and just see all of the life sucked out of me. I might as well be dead, right? Dead doesn't have to be that your pulse stops and your lungs stop and your brain shuts down, right? Dead can be that you're walking dead, right? And your spirit is gone, and what makes you is no longer there, right? And so, yeah, like, that's one of the reasons, right? Another one of the reasons is because by having an option one, and if I'm able to see it as a win because it will result in the cessation of my suffering, I can go in with a good mentality. So let's say that I only considered option two, right? I only considered option two, which is that no matter what, I'm not putting ceasing to exist on the table, right? A compassionate form of euthanasia, self-euthanasia, right? In that case, I would more likely than not actually commit suicide and actually die. Because the worst thing you can do is be living in a lie, living in denial. And there's no guarantee that with the therapies, with the meds, with the treatments, and with the trail that I'm ever going to get better, or that I'm going to get better in a short period of time, or anything reasonable within a couple of years, right? There's no guarantee of that. And so the last thing I want to do is believe that no matter what, option two is going to work, because I know there's a chance it won't. It's a win-lose thing. It's not a win-win thing. And that my suffering will never my suffering will never cease. That's the last thing that I want. And I think I will be far more miserable with that mentality than if I were to say that no matter what happens, that my suffering will end, and my suffering is limited, because either I will get better or I will cease to exist and my suffering will go with it, right? And so if I can do that, if I can have that mentality, then there is a better chance that option two was going to work and that I will mentally improve. Some people have criticized me when I've told them about this plan because they think that I'll obsess and ruminate over death and option one, and it's like, no. If you could adopt the right philosophy that no matter what, you're going to win, and no matter what, there's a 100% chance that your suffering will be limited or will stop entirely, then you're more likely to be happy, and you're more likely to go for option two and choose to live. Option one is not there to actually be used as much as it is a framework, a philosophical framework that will result in your victory. So, and most likely will keep you alive. So that's why I think it's selfless, because if you consider suicide selfish, this is actually the best mentality that I could have, ironically, to prevent me from doing that. Because I didn't choose to live under these oppressive conditions. Autonomy is my number one belief, right? That you take care of yourself, you take care of your body, you take care of your own person. Because your friends and your family and everyone you interact with relies on you being who you are. In my case, Astra being Astra. Astra having the spirit of Astra. You know, Astra not just existing, but being there, right? If you cannot fix your own problems, then you can't, if you can't fix your own problems, your own person, and love yourself, you can't properly love anyone else. And so that's why I take my body autonomy the most seriously out of anything. Because if I commit this act, I know that my friends and my family will be really sad. But I don't want to live in a lie and interact with them and talk with them while knowing fully aware that I'm not Astra and I will likely never be Astra and I will just exist, right? And that would break my heart more than anything, more than if I were to go through with it, if option 2 didn't work. So that's just my take, that autonomy is number 1. Now, I'm pro-living. I am not encouraging anyone to do suicide. I'm not an anti-natalist by stating that I have no inherent responsibility to be here because I didn't sign a contract, right? I'm not anti-natalist. I believe in life, living, and I'm not an Eiffelist either, right? There's nothing inherently anti-birth that I said. I believe that we don't have a responsibility to be here. That I believe. Yeah, I was wondering who that was. But that doesn't mean that I'm anti-life. I'm pro-living, and I'm pro-like birth or whatever. Like, let people birth babies. But I'm more anti-suffering than pro-living, and I generally try to convince people that have seemingly fixable problems or whose buckets lines are not filled to the brim, but they're just below it. I try to convince them to seek help, to seek services, to seek family, to seek friends that can help them in their journey. I will never encourage a person to do suicide under any circumstances, and I want this to be known to my community because, number one, I want to abide by YouTube community guidelines. I will never encourage somebody to do suicide. In fact, most of the time, I'll discourage it. But here is the thing, right? And number two, I just want you to be aware of that. I'm not trying to say this is the good way to solve your problems. It's not what I'm saying. Because remember, option 1 is more there to save me from suicide than anything else, as ironic as it is. So I definitely can understand, however, people that are drowning. They're above or at their fill line, and their arms are getting tired. And in those cases where they've tried those treatment options and they've been in prison wards, prison psych wards where you don't know if you're going to get your ass beat or how long you're going to be there, when they tried zombifying meds, when they've tried electrocuting their brain or taking whatever, right, and having all these treatment interventions and their life completely disrupted, right, I will stop discouraging them. However, from suicide. However, I will never encourage it. What I say in those cases is that people have their own right to their bodies. And I'm not going to encourage them to go get services because they've already tried them and it's already failed them. And it's no way to live. Sorry. It's no way to live. I kind of spat there. It's no way to live if you're taking all of these meds and all these therapies and all these interventions just to survive and get some sliver of happiness. That shouldn't be life. And so if these people really feel comfortable, if these people really have those services and it doesn't help them, right, and they're suffering to the point where their soul is lost and they're no longer identifiable and they might as well be dead, right, then I'm neutral about it. I will not encourage them, but I'm not going to say anything about it because I know that their problems are so severe and they need a release, or they feel like they need a release, and I'm not here to judge them for that. I'm never there to judge anyone, right? And so, yeah, generally I'm very anti-suicide, and I try to help people, and I never encourage it, but there are times where I feel empathetic, and ultimately, it's not whether I agree or disagree with somebody doing it. It's their choice on whether or not to do it. So, yeah, I shouldn't constantly have to take all these meds and to feel an ounce of happiness and meaning in my life. Take all these meds, take all these therapies, things like that. So if it brings me nothing then survival, I'm already dead. I'm already a Walking Dead person. So, there you go. That's all on Astra's Corner. Goodbye.